Hi everyone, it's Jerry. This is video 7 from the Beginner to Chess Master playlist, which is a progressive series of videos. And we're going to have a look at how to give checkmate with the king and rook versus the enemy king. If you've been following this channel or been connected in some way with this ChessNetwork channel, you'll know that I've covered this video, or at least there's a good chance you'll know I've covered this video before. But I wanted to redo this video specific for a couple of reasons. Specific for this playlist, I wanted to do this video, and also because I wanted to show you a more efficient approach to solving this endgame. Okay, so if you've been following along in this playlist here, this Beginner to Chess Master playlist, you know the first video I covered was king and queen versus the enemy king. Well, things are quite similar here in this endgame. We will need to force the enemy king to the edge of the board in order to give checkmate. So a good place to start is to pick an edge of the board we would like to force the king to, and force him there, and then finally give checkmate. We will need to be working as a team here, using both our king and rook to force checkmate against the enemy king, to force the king to the edge of the board and then give checkmate. And in this example, I'm going to force the enemy king to this 8th rank. With white being on move here, a good place to start, or a good move to start with, is rook h3, cutting the king off, not allowing him to move away from this 8th rank. After a move here, we get our king involved now, and after black moves, you'll notice that the position of the kings are such that they're a knight's move away from one another. In this is just your visual cue. When the kings are a knight's move away from one another and you're on move, that's where you're going to look to make a waiting move with your rook. And he still wants to perform this same function of patrolling this 3rd rank, so he's going to make a move somewhere to this 3rd rank. More specifically, he's going to move to a square where he's closer to our king than our opponent's king. Now, that might seem a little bit odd to view it like that, but I'll explain. The move here, a good move, would be rook to a3, making a waiting move. It's kind of like a passing move. We essentially want the enemy king to make another move. You'll notice if he's going here and lining himself up with our king, this is where we will now look to give a check, and he's forced in the direction we want him to go to. Okay. In this example, however, he's going to run away. Why exactly do we make this waiting move to a3? Why do we want to position our rook such that he's closer to our king than our opponent's king? Well, notice if we make a waiting move like rook g3, we run into this move here. It's a bit of a bug. The king is allowed to now attack our rook, and we have to move our rook again. But if we make the waiting move like this, rook a3, if he's ever moving in the direction to one day attack our rook, he will have to have lined himself up with our king. And then we're able to push him around. We're able to push him back in the direction we want him to go to. But in this example, he runs away, and our king is the one who runs after him. Eventually, he has to line himself up with our king. When he's on the edge here, he has to go to one of these 3, and regardless of which 3 he goes to, we're able to give a check here, and we're slowly making progress. Again, slowly making progress. This is not the most efficient approach to this endgame. Just wanted to show you one method here, one that highlights waiting moves, in fact. And once again, a position where it's a knight's move away, we're going to look to make a waiting move. In this case, rook h4 satisfies that condition of being closer to our king than our opponent's king, and we run after him. Eventually, he's going to have to line himself up, and it's the same thing over and over. Now, how would we do this in a more efficient way? If this was to continue, the king would be running like this, and this is going to take a long time. How could we do it where it is much more efficient? If I was to continue with this same method, look at how many moves this is taking. It's taking a real lot, and it shouldn't take this long here. This would be an example of a good waiting move in that position. And then finally, that's a way we could end. 32 moves, if you see on the right-hand side, is a long, well, that's too long. You could do it in a better, there's a better approach. So let's see what this better approach is. Similar, we're going to still make waiting moves like this, but if this king is a little close to the edge of the board like this, if he's on g4, or if we're chasing after him and he's going directly on an edge of the board, who's to say that we have to checkmate him here? We could always change our mind and go, what? Right here. and say, you know what, I'm going to checkmate you on this H file. And notice how much more quickly this is going to end. Instead of taking 32 moves, we're done in just about a dozen moves here. Okay, so the main point here, just as a quick recap, is to use both our king and rook. It takes a team effort in order to force the king to the edge. We want to look to cut the king off when the kings are a knight's move away from one another. This will be our visual cue to make that waiting move. And if he's close to the edge of the board, even here, he doesn't have to be directly on the edge. What we could do is cut him off right here and simply work with these last two files. Look to cut him off on this G file, and then finally, when he's on the H file, deliver checkmate like this. A waiting move is called for there. We run after him a little bit. We could even cut him off like this, and then work over like this, and then finally give checkmate. So there's no one correct way. There's going to be many different ways you could do it. I just wanted to highlight this idea of cutting the king off, making waiting moves. There's a slow approach, but also this more efficient approach. If the king is towards the near an edge of the board, feel free to shift gears. You don't have to be locked into forcing the king to one particular edge of the board. You could change it up along the way, depending on what the enemy king is doing. Okay, so that's all for this video. As always, I hope you got something out of it, and I'll catch you in video 8. Take care. Bye.